Hi Peaches! Welcome to Storyline Express. I'm gonna tell you the short story of NieR Replicant, so sit tight! Summer 2053. It's snowing for some reason. Our main character Peach is hiding in an abandoned grocery store. But he's not alone here. He's trying to protect his little sister Yonah from monsters called Shades. Shades are the main enemies in the game. They can only appear in the shadows, and just like vampires disappear in the sunlight. Next to Peach and Yonah, we can see two similar magic books. Peach asks Yonah not to touch this book ever, and leaves to fight with Shades. Then he realizes that he is too weak to defeat all the enemies, so he decides to use the power of the magic book. When he touches it, a huge hand comes out of the book, and slaps the Shades' faces. Meanwhile, Yonah breaks a promise and touches the second book too, but she doesn't get the same power. Instead of that, her body begins covering with strange inscriptions and she loses consciousness. Soon we learn that this disease is called Black Scroll, and no one knows how to treat it. After that, there is a temporal jump for 1412 years later. Peach and Yonah were rescued and settled in a small village simply called Peach's Village. Naturally, Yonah is still sick, so Peach is going to find a way to cure her. Throughout the game, we are given quests by the twin sisters Devil and Popola. Popola most often sits in the library. If you played NieR Automata, you must have already recognized this library, but we will talk about it in another video. Devil mostly drinks, sings songs, and is hitting on Peach in the tavern.
Wanna let a girl buy you a drink?
I'm not old enough to drink, Devila. Also, isn't it morning?
One day, Peach returns home and tells Yonah the story about a legendary flower called Lunar Tear. People say finding one makes you rich. Also, with that kind of money, it will be easy to cure any disease. The next day, Yonah comes to Popola and asks her about this flower, and she tells her that it used to grow around the lost shrine. Unsurprisingly, Yonah doesn't say anything to Peach and just runs away from the village. The lost shrine is located near the village, so Peach quickly finds Yonah, but not only her. Those guys are our first bosses called Hansel and Gretel. They are guarding some book which looks like the one we saw in the prologue. And right behind the barrier, we can see Yonah. Peach frees the book and gets its magical abilities. By the way, the book can talk, his name is Grimoire, and he is very grouchy. With the help of Vice magic, Peach destroys the bosses and frees Yonah, after which the temple begins to collapse, so they quickly escape. Then, we are shown Yonah's illness again. Back in the village, Peach introduces Vice to Devil and Popola, but they have already heard about him before. Moreover, Devil was just singing the song of the ancients about the white book Grimoire Vice. There is such a terrible black book that appears and begins to spread diseases. But then a white book appears and saves the world, after which everyone is happy. The end. Later, Popola tells us the full legend. When the great black book Grimoire Noir brings disaster to the world, the white book Grimoire Vice will appear with his sealed verses. He will then use them to defeat Grimoire Noir and purify the calamity he created. As a result, to save Yonah, we need to collect all the sealed verses. And here, our journey begins. Sit tight, please. Otherwise, I'll bite you. Ugh. The first place is a village called the Eyrie. Just a terrible village with aggressive residents. When Peach asks them about sealed verses, they just tell him to get out of here. Yeah, very friendly and welcoming village. Peach decides to return to Popola, but on the way back, he sees an abandoned shack with those legendary Lunar Tear flowers. When he tries to take a closer look at them, a girl in only underwear comes up behind him.
Vice? Why is that lady in her underwear?
It's Kaine. Her left arm and left leg are those of a shade. She grew up in this horrible village, but the residents have bullied her cause she is a half-human. As a result, Kaine decided never to enter villages again. During their fight, a huge shade suddenly appears. I simply call him the Big Tits Boss. The Big Tits boss killed Kaine's grandma, so she dreams of avenging her, but loses all her strength, and it just escapes. The next time, Peach is lured to this village by a letter from the chief. He asks for help with the shades that suddenly appeared in the village, but it was a trap, cause we were fooled by the Big Tits boss.
Rot in hell, you fucking asshole!
Did you just say what I think you said?
To save the villagers, Kaine has to enter the village, and when she tries to get closer to the boss, it releases some kind of poisonous gas directly into her face. So she imagines her grandma's voice, or rather, now she thinks that the Big Tits boss is her grandma. But the boss is really stupid, cause it says, why go on living anymore? So?
You're going to stop talking now, and then I'm going to slowly walk over to you, cram my hand inside your goddamn bitch-ass chest, and pull out your fucking heart!
Anyway, Kaine finally avenged her grandma, so she decides to give up and end her life. But Peach can't let her go easily, cause they are friends now, so he asks her to fight together. As a result, she agreed to travel with him. Yay! Okay, the second place. The second place is called Junk Heap. Right outside the heap, there is a Jacob and Gideon's workshop, and at the same time their home. They are two brothers Smiths. Their father died when Gideon was very young, and their mother has been gone 7 days ago and never returned. Wait, until I explain everything. Hungry boy.
I said I'm hungry!
So, Peach decides to help them find their mother and goes to the Junk Heap. The Junk Heap is the abandoned military base. This area mainly hosts robots from the old world and is still operational for some reason. Deep in the heap, we fall into a trap, and a huge handsome robot jumps out of the ground. After killing the boss, we found the mother of those guys, but she was already dead. It turns out that she abandoned her children cause she was suffering from her life, so she decided to run off with some village guy. Then we are given the most terrible choice, to tell them the truth or to lie that we didn't find her. I decided to choose the first one. Sorry! The third place is the village called Seafront. It sounds like when you are too lazy to come up with the name of the village. Anyway, in this village, we caught a shaman fish for Yonah. As weird as it sounds, it's like a painkiller. The next place is deep in the desert and is called Facade. The king of the Facade has the same disease as Yonah, and his kingdom has been trying to find a cure for a while. In the desert, we are attacked by a bunch of wolves with their half-shade leader. You probably want to ask, what the heck the wolves doing here? A long time ago, the desert was a forest. The wolves used to live peacefully with humans, but after time, they and the citizens of Facade have started a war against each other. At the entrance to the Facade, we meet two guards and a closed gate. Thanks to Kaine, they let us into the village, cause she recently saved a local kid from a pack of wolves and became popular here. By the way, the Facade residents have their own language, which is very similar to the Japanese.
오! 아니 가인의 같아!
킷! 와르라! 옮긴다!
In the Facade, we meet the girl that Kaine saved. Her name is Fira. She agrees to help us cause she can communicate through gestures. In fact, Fira's face was badly burnt when she was young, so her family sent her away, not wanting to have a disgrace in their home. Then Fira came to the city, but because of Rule 32 she was forbidden to speak. However, Fira says that first we need to learn their rules. By the way, they recently added rule number 124,046. Oh gosh. After a tour around the whole city, we find out that basically they don't have a king at all. The king died because of the Black Scroll, and now his son takes his place. It turns out that he ran away to the Baron Temple, and his people can't go looking for him because of their stupid rules that conflict with each other. When Fira wants to break the rules, Peach decides to help her and goes to the Baron Temple.
The moment I open my mouth, the sand rushes inside.
Do you even have a mouth?
In the Baron Temple, there are a lot of rooms with their own rules, like Leaping Rabbit, which forbids to jump, and so on. In one of the rooms, we meet a prince who broke the rules that prohibit standing still, so he's being kidnapped. Soon, Kaine also breaks the rules that prohibits to use magic, and she is being kidnapped too. Ah, those impatient lazy seals. In the end, Peach defeats the last boss in the Baron Temple that looks like a bunch of boxes. By the way, the young prince went here to get a royal mask, since other states don't take him seriously. That's why trade with them has stopped and the people began to starve. The next day, Peach and Yonah have the same dream, in which a boy with silver hair tries to say something, but just moves his lips. It's like a word game. In the morning, it turns out that the villagers in the Forest of Mist have a disease called Death Dream, so they fall asleep forever. In this quest there are some riddles. For example, I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but in the night with 3. What am I? A man? A demon? Or an angel? The next quest isn't for the faint of heart. Yonah suddenly decides to tell Peach about her pen pal. He lives in a huge spooky manor with his creepy butler Sebastian. Why are all butlers called Sebastian? When we entered the mansion, everything turned grey. Also, the pictures on the walls are changing. Blood is pouring from the tap. Petrified people in the yard, and so on. By the way, the mansion gives many nods to the game Resident Evil. I am already making Resident Evil Village, so don't forget to subscribe. In one of the rooms, we meet the owner of this manor named Emil. He wears a blindfold, cause everything he looks at gets turned to stone. As it turned out, he doesn't know anything about the letter for Yonah, so he asks to talk to his butler. Peach then finds him, but he acts really strangely, like he's not a human. It turns out that the butler sent a letter to Yonah in secret from Emil, hoping to find a way to cure his eyes. Sebastian believes that the cure for Emil's condition is located in this manor, so he asks Peach to help them. In the library we find another book that looks like Wise, but cannot speak. It is called the Red Book Grimoire Rubrum. When we tear out the pages of this book, Peach finds the report, but unfortunately it's encoded. Before leaving, we are shown a cute scene of Kaine and Emil. She tells him that his eyes are not a curse, and she shouldn't be ashamed of them. By the way, we have collected all the sealed verses, and we just got to find the Grimoire Noir. Emil walked to our village to warn us that shades are coming, but it's too late, cause they have already broken in together with a huge boss. Got it! You will be a wild boss with tentacles now. As a result, Kaine comes to help us while Emil is fighting with shades in the library. Oh gosh, this wild tentacle boss is really unkillable. Peach decides to lock him in the basement, but at that moment a shade pierces him. May I present you? This is Shadowlord, the leader of shades. He grabs Yonah, and the black book Grimoire Noir appears next to him. Grimoire Noir is actually a nasty book, cause he tries to brainwash Wise. He tells him that both of them were created only to serve the Shadowlord. Also, the ultimate goal is to merge white and black together and free the world from shades. By the way, the chance meeting with Peach and even the hunt for sealed verses was just the Shadowlord's plan. But Wise refuses to believe Grimoire Noir, so it ends badly. As a result, the Shadowlord kidnaps Yonah and flies away. Well, he has butterfly wings after all. Being a shade? Okay. After that, Kaine asks Emil to turn her into a stone to lock that monster in the basement. Even though Emil doesn't want to do that, the game leaves us no choice. So he removes the blindfold from his eyes and turns Kaine into a stone. 5 years later, Peach has matured, and now he looks like Prince Noctis from Final Fantasy XV. All this time he tried to find Yonah, but without success. Also, the world is close to extinction. However, one thing still hasn't changed. As always, we need to go to the library and meet Popola. And Devil is flirting with Peach. Grandma, are you sure you wanna be here after all? Okay. Anyway, the strange thing is that Popola and Devila haven't changed a bit. Also, during this time, Emil didn't write a single letter to Peach. However, recently he came across some notes that could help to cure Kaine's petrification, so he asks us to come to his manor again. By the way, Emil has not changed either. It turns out that under the mansions there is a secret research facility. In this lab, there have been experiments with magic and especially with petrification. In other words, it was a magical research center. In 2026, the lab was disguised as a mansion. At the time, they were developing a super powerful weapon called Number 6 and Number 7.
A number 6 with extra dip. A number 7.
As a result, Emil remembers everything. One day, together with his sister Halua, they came to this terrible place and became experimental rats. In the end, scientists managed to create the perfect weapon, but soon they lost control of it, and the experiment was declared unsuccessful. They needed a weapon that could turn Number 6 to stone and lock her up, so they created a weapon called Number 7, and it was Emil. The conclusion is obvious. The Number 6 is Emil's sister, and she's kinda alive. With the help of her power, Emil will be able to get rid of his petrification curse, so Number 6 swallows him. After that, Halua's powers were transferred to Emil, and he partially took her form. With the new power, Emil saves Kaine. After that, the wild boss with tentacles crawls out of the basement. When Peach destroys it, Kaine wakes up and they have a sweet rejoin. I am still shipping them. By the way, Peach gives Kaine a wreath of lunar tear flowers, which he made himself. But the happiness didn't last long, cause Devil and Popple ask them to leave the village because of the residents who are afraid of them. The next morning, Peach learns that the Shadowlord is in the Lost Shrine. When he gets there, he is attacked by Gretel, who somehow survived. During the fight, Peach throws a spear, but it pierces Kaine. Are you kidding? We just saved her, and she died again? Really? Suddenly her body is covered with black inscriptions, and she turns into a monster that looks like a shade. As a result, Peach defeats the shade that swallowed Kaine, so she comes to her senses. But, of course, it's not so easy to get close to the Shadowlord, so first we need to collect 5 key fragments to enter his castle. The first key fragment we just already received, and the second one was in the junk heap. 4 years ago, Jacob sacrificed his life to save Gideon in the junk heap. Gideon then blamed the death of his brother on a robot that suddenly appeared, so he asks Peach to avenge his brother. In fact, a little shade has joined forces with a robot. After the fight, an angry Gideon appears. He starts kicking the robot and laughing, as if he has completely lost his mind. The third key fragment was in the divine tree in the forest of Myth, and the fourth one was in the Eyrie. The shades have taken over some of the citizens and united into one big monster with tentacles. Why are all the bosses in this game have tentacles? Emil then loses his mind, defeats the boss, destroys everything around him, and cries.
What have I done? I killed innocent people. I killed them all.
Next, we learn that in the seafront, people began to disappear. And this is the fault of a mysterious wrecked ship. This place is also creepy, cause this ship belonged to slavers who sold people. We also find a tool for torture and an inscription on the door written in blood, "Let me out." But the most creepy thing is that Peach falls into the hold of the ship and finds a lot of dead bodies. Well, now it's clear where the residents have disappeared. In the last cabin, we find a little girl and a postman. He says that this girl was already here when the ship is crashed, and when he found her, he decided to look after her until she recovered. When he saw the blood on the floor, he thought that the girl is bleeding, so he went in search of bandages to help her. But in fact, she was just a monster which has been devouring people all this time. Another boss with tentacles in short. Even though the girl is a shade, she cares about this postman cause he was always with her. So that's what killed her. Meanwhile, Peach receives a letter from the king of the facade. And they quote, "It's me, Mario." Just kidding. "Hey guys, it's me, the king of facade. I'm getting married and I really want you to come. So get over here." Guess what? His bride is Fira. Hee. By the way, Emil is acting strangely. He really likes weddings, but it seems he wants to be a bride himself. Maybe I didn't get this joke. Anyway, I declare this wedding the sweetest wedding ever.
Aw, weddings are the best. There's flowers everywhere. Everyone's happy. It's just great. I'm kind of jealous. Aren't you jealous, Kaine?
Nah.
Oh, come on.
Until now. During the battle, the wolves just run away, and Fira dies. Soon, the king decides to take revenge on the wolves, and his loyal people are going to help him. In the end, the prince kills the wolf, and we get the last key fragment. It means that we are finally going to the Shadowlord's castle. Before entering the castle, we are met by two super smart pigeons. To go further, we need to answer their questions. Here we learn that people actually disappeared a long time ago because of the Black Disease. To extend their lives, they separated the body from the soul. Then the souls must be placed to their corresponding shells. After that, the doors open and... ta-da! We are greeted by Devil and Popola. As you have already understood, they have been on the Shadowlord side this whole time. Besides, they already knew that everything would end like this, but they hoped that this would happen in a few hundred years when the next generation would appear. In the end, Devil and Popola ask us to enter the Shadowlord's castle.
Goddamn no good bullshit bastard! Open the fuck up already! Ugh! Got it.
Kaine, look out!
In the castle, we meet a boss who literally gathers from a pile of small shades and eventually turns into a huge immortal boar. Seriously, he gets stronger and stronger every time we kill him. As a result, the king of the facade comes to help us. No matter how sad it is, the king's people throw us out and give their lives.
Open the damn door!
Knock it off already. Let's go.
Kaine.
Finally, we meet Devil and Popola again and find out the whole truth. It started 1300 years ago. Humanity found itself on the brink of extinction, so they undertook their last-ditch rescue plan called Project Gestalt. The Gestalt experiment was to create artificial bodies for people suffering from white chlorination syndrome. In short, Devil and Popola are not people. They are androids who participated in the Gestalt experiment. Besides, everyone in this room, such as Peach, Kaine, and even Emil, are just shells called replicants, and are created by true people. By the way, real people died a long time ago. Or rather, they became shades. During the Gestalt experiment, the human soul, or in other words, the Gestalt, was separated from the body in order to place it in the replicant. But something went wrong, and the Gestalts began to lose their minds and turned into shades. The true goal of Devil and Popola was to lead Peach to the Shadowlord, the original Gestalt who was able to keep his mind. In the end, Peach had to kill Devila.
You know, Popola, I understand now why we're twins. It's because we were born without souls.
When Peach asks Popola to stop, she gets angrier and goes completely off the rails. Emil then tries to save us, but Popola doesn't let us escape, so he decides to sacrifice himself. It seems Kaine really likes to beat Peach. Anyway, when we finally get to the Shadowlord, Peach sees Yonah and starts running to her, but suddenly his gestalt appears and the long-awaited battle begins between them. But suddenly Yonah stops them. Approaching the Shadowlord, she says that she can no longer live in someone else's body. She hears a girl's voice inside, who is crying all the time and wants to see her brother. After that, Yonah's gestalt leaves her body and disappears. And here, the very last battle with the Shadowlord begins. Weiss then kills the Shadowlord and loses all his powers, including his physical form. In the end, we can see that the Shadowlord has already given up and he has no reason to continue living. Peach even thought for a second, is it worth killing him? But finishes him anyway. Then, Yonah opens her eyes, sees his brother, and they are hugging. At that moment, Kaine realizes that it's time to leave, but Peach stops her, asking if she wants to stay with them. However, she answers that she has her own shit to take care of. In ending A, we are shown a young Peach giving Yonah the lunar tear, and also an older Yonah with the Shadowlord. She hugs him, which means that they are reunited. In ending B, we learned that Kaine understood Shay's language all this time, but she didn't care about them. We also can hear her shade called Tyrann. After killing the Shadowlord, there is a scene in which he regrets that he caused a lot of pain to Yonah and couldn't rescue her. He then remembers the day they were at the grocery store when Yonah shared the cookie with him. While NieR is crying, images of enemies killed by Peach appear. After that, Yonah comes to him and thanks him for always being there with her, and shares the cookie with her brother. After the credits, we find out that Emil survived. Now, being only a head, he is going to find a new body and then reunite with Peach and Kaine. If you want to find out what Emil was doing in the desert after that, you can read the novel by Yoko Taro, Around the World in 80 Days. Ending C is a continuation of endings A and B. After Peach defeats the Shadowlord, Kaine is trying to leave, but goes into her shade form. When Tyrann completely merges with Kaine, he says that there are two ways to save her. The first is to kill her and release her from suffering. And the other way is to make her a normal human being again by trading Peach's own existence. If we choose the first one, Peach kills Kaine and finally kisses her. Tyrann then says that he felt Kaine's pain and her emotions as if they were his own.
We'll always be together.
The second choice leads to ending D. By choosing this option, Peach will disappear from the world, and everyone in his life will forget him. But in exchange, Kaine will return to life. Also, all the saved data will be erased. The saddest thing is that I didn't get an achievement for all the endings, cause I have loaded one of the last saves, not willing to go through half the game again. Meow. Anyway, Kaine awakes, and Yonah says that she was the one who defeated the Shadowlord. Then a lunar tear falls on the ground, and when Yonah picks it and gives it to Kaine, she suddenly has a flashback of Peach and starts crying. But she doesn't understand why.
Yeah. I guess I am.
The last ending is ending E, which is a prequel to NieR Automata. After erasing the data, the game doesn't allow selecting the same name. Okay, I will be Peachy then. He. It's been 3 years since Peach disappeared. Every night, Kaine sees him in a dream but can't figure out who he is. Here we begin a new game playing for Kaine. In the Forest of Mist, Kaine finds the dead bodies of the villagers. Suddenly strange robots come out of the divine tree. When she goes inside, she meets the artificial life forms that call themselves administrators. In general, this place serves as a storage system for information about the whole world. The twins then create Kaine's copies that attack the real Kaine, and when she is almost defeated, suddenly Emil appears. It seems he successfully found a new body, but with 4 arms. When they defeated the fake Kaine, they enter a strange world. Emil mentions that he feels like he forgot something very important. In the end, they reach the Shadowlord castle with a core with the memories they have lost. After destroying the core, Kaine and Emil begin to return the memories of Peach. At that moment, Kaine finds herself in a strange place, which the administrators call her memories. In this place, she is reminded of all her most wild memories.
I'll kill you as many times as it takes. You goddamn shit-fucking despicable piece of garbage!
In the end, the one who helped her finally remember Peach was Wise. After destroying the administrators, the erased Peach is recreated from the tree's memories of his first visit to the Forest of Mist. So, a huge lunar tree flower appears in the middle of the forest, and 16 years old Peach is taken back to this world. Also, he has no clothes. That's it. Honestly, Peaches, I really enjoyed this game, but it would be better if I didn't have to go through it about 5 times. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. You are the best Peach ever.
Alright, is everybody here?
Present and accounted for.
You betcha!
Sure. Alright then. Dear players, the game is over, and we have a special message for you. Thank you for playing.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Yonah, why aren't you in bed?
Oh, hey! It's my big brother. I'm so sorry. I just didn't want to miss this.
Try and take it easy on her, okay? Yeah, you wouldn't turn down a request from your adorable little sister, would ya?
Popola, Devila, you're here too?
Looks like you're having yourself a grand old time, sunshine!
Okay, who was that?
Shut up, Tyrion. You'll just make things complicated.
We haven't all the time in the world, Let us finish what we came here to do.
So, it's really gonna be over, huh? Does that make anyone else feel sad?
We have to say goodbye eventually. But hey, I'm sure we'll meet again.
You really think so?
I'm getting hungry over here. Want to hurry this up?
Alright, once again, from the top.
Dear players, the game is over, and we have a special message for you. Ready? 1, 2... Thank you for playing!
It's my turn now. Thank you. See you next game. Meow!